council meeting is being conducted with members and officers in various locations, communicating via audio, video and online. There's also an opportunity for the public to press to listen and to view proceedings. Before the meeting starts, I'd like to invite the committee member and scrutiny manager, Hilary, to explain how the proceedings will work and take a roll call to confirm that all members and officers and registered speakers are in attendance. Hilary?
Thank you. As usual, when I call your name, can you please answer that you are here? I'm only going to call surnames. Albert?
Yes.
I haven't seen Alan. No. Billing?
Which one?
Sorry, Claire.
I'm here.
Thank you. Billing, Judy.
Hilary, Councillor Allen has sent his apologies for this evening.
Thank you.
I'm here.
Thank you. Bishop.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. Bryant.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Collins.
Hello.
Davidson.
Yeah.
Davies.
Yep.
Deacon Davies.
Yes, I'm here.
Dennis Harburg.
Here.
Derbyshire.
Yeah.
Green.
Yes, I'm here.
Harwood.
Hello.
Hone.
Here.
Hoskins.
Here.
Hewson.
Bonsoir.
Hunter.
Still present.
Jarvis.
Yes, I'm here.
Levitt.
Yeah.
Mantle.
Yeah.
McNally.
Yeah.
Moody. Morris.
Yeah.
Muir. No. Nash.
Yeah.
Nguala.
Yeah.
North.
Yeah.
Apologies. Prendergast.
Yeah.
Rice.
Present.
Rogera Chaka.
Present.
Shanley.
Present.
Thania.
Present.
Steers Hanscom.
Present.
Strong.
Present. And can I give apologies from Ian Moody, please?
Thank you very much. Fake.
Yes, here.
Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah.
Tyson.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. And Weeks.
Present.
Thank you. Officers, we have Ian Fullstone.
Good evening.
Ian Cooper.
Yeah.
Jeanette Thompson.
Present.
Melanie Stimpson.
Present.
Steve Cobb.
Yeah.
We have William Edwards.
Present.
We have Vic Godfrey helping with IT and myself, Hilary Deneen. Have I missed anybody?
Hilary, you missed me, Councillor Kate Aspinwall.
I do apologise, Councillor.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please note that the meeting is being streamed live onto YouTube and recorded via Zoom. Extracts from the remote and partly remote meetings protocol are included with the agenda, and the full version is available on the Council's website, which includes information regarding live streaming, noise interference, rules of debate, and voting. Members are requested to ensure that they are familiar with the protocol. Are there any questions? In that case, I will hand over to the Chair of the Council, Councillor Terry Tyler. Thank you.
Thank you, Hilary. Apologies for absence. We just heard that Ian Moody sent his apologies. I've received apologies from Councillor Danny Allen, David Barnard, Councillor Frost, Councillor Grindle, Councillor Oliver and Councillor Tart. Is there any others that we should be registering? No. Okay. Okay, to item 3, notification of other businesses. Other business. There are no notifications, so we can pass that one on. 4 chair's announcements. 1, Carl Holland. It is with great sadness that I have to inform you that Carl Holland sadly passed away on the 15th of September 2020. after a relatively short illness. He was employed by NHDC as an assistive technologies officer for the Careline team and had worked there since the 1st of August 2017. Carl was an incredibly happy and popular member of the team who was survived by his wife, Samantha, and 2 young daughters. Can I ask you to join me in a minute's silence in Carl's memory? Thank you. Audio recording. In accordance with the council policy, this meeting is being audio recorded as well as filmed. The audio recordings will be available to view on mod.gov, and I guess that's modern.gov now, actually, thinking about it, and the film recording via the NHDC YouTube channel. Announcement 3, climate emergency. Since the council declared the climate emergency, I feel it's important to continue to demonstrate the progress and commitment that the council has made to this. Therefore, all future agendas will have the following words included. The council has declared a climate emergency and is committed to achieving a target of 0 carbon emissions by 2030 and helping local people and businesses to reduce their own carbon emissions. A cabinet panel on the environment has been established to engage with local people on matters relating to the climate emergency and advise the council on how to achieve these climate change objectives. A climate change implementation group of councillors and council officers meets regularly to produce plans and monitor progress. Actions taken or currently undertaken include switching to green energy, incentives for low emission taxes, expanding tree planting, and work to cut food waste. In addition, the council is a member of the Hertfordshire Climate Change and Sustainability Partnership, working with other councils across Hertfordshire to reduce the county carbon emissions and the climate impact. The council's dedicated webpage on climate change includes details of the council's climate change strategy, the work on the cabinet panel, and the environment, and the monthly briefing on progress. Item 4 of my announcements is Jill Hills, sorry, to apologise, Jill Hills, and she has achieved 25 years of service. Jill has worked as a parking attendant for 25 years since reaching this milestone and has just recently retired. Jill has always been known as a matron of the team, and with the kindness, support and friendship she has shown to everybody, her professional attitude leading by example. She has a no fear attitude towards her role and didn't suffer fools gladly. So friendly and helpful to all of the members of the public, although did manage to sustain an injury in her foot twice after she was driven over by a member of the public. That was how much determined she was to demonstrate her role. Jill featured on the front page of the Comment in January 2005 as a result of a Traffic Management Act, and up to her retirement, she maintained that pride. Jill was a perfect ambassador for the parking services and NHDC, who will be difficult to replace. During the 25 years of her service with NHDC, she gained many friends in every department, seen many people come and go, and experienced many changes. But every day she came to work with the same sunny nature, taking all of her changes on board every time. She will be incredibly missed, and we wish her well in her retirement. I would like to propose that the council place on record its sincere thanks and appreciation to Jill Hills for her long and valuable service to local government. Can I have a seconder, please? Val?
I will second that.
Thank you. And is there anybody who wishes to speak on this matter, celebrating Jill's 25 years? I have a hand against Councillor Martin Steers-Hanscom.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think it's very important that we receive these notifications of long service and with many of our staff. It does demonstrate how well served we are with our staff. And listening to what you just read out, I think being a parking attendant's not the easiest of jobs, and clearly Jill has carried that job out with great humour and with great determination. And being run over by a member of the public is not very easy to put up with. But
Nice.
I think it underlines why we're as I say, why we've got some tremendous staff, and I'm sure we all echo what you've said in wishing her well in her retirement. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Martin. Can I have a vote for appreciation, please? If you raise your hand. Oh, sorry, Hilary, I should be changing over to you. Hilary, could you take the vote, please?
That's fine. If you can please vote in your normal way with green for yes, red for no, and blue hand for abstain. Thank you. That's carried, Chair.
Thank you very much. It was nearly unanimous. Yes, fabulous. Thank you, Hilary. Item 6, declarations of interest. Members are reminded that declarations of interest before the item, the details reminder is about this, and speaking rights are set out under the chair's announcements on the agenda. Do we have any declarations of interest at this point? No? Okay, thank you. Item 7 of chair's announcements is rules of debate. Please can I remind you that normal procedure rules in respect of debate and times to speak will apply. No speeches may be made after the mover has moved a proposal and explained the purpose of it until the motion has been seconded. When seconded a motion or amended, a member may reserve their speech until later in the debate. In accordance with the Constitution, please can members ensure that no speech exceeds 5 minutes without the consent of myself. And item 8 of my announcements is a comfort break. If the meeting should still be progressing at 9 p.m, we shall be taking a comfort break at appropriate place. Okay, item 5 on the agenda is public participation. This evening we have none. Item 6, items referred from other committees. Part A is an item referred by Cabinet to on the 22nd of October 2020, Hertfordshire Growth Board proposal joint committees. Councillor Martin Steers-Hanscom to present a propose. I presume you are. Yes, please. Are you proposing?
I am indeed. Yes, thank you, Chair. For the last nearly 3 years, we have taken part in the work of the Growth Board with all party support. And what that means, we have been working with the County Council, with the Local Economic Partnership and all other 9 district and borough councils to seek funding from the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government for the sort of projects that will ensure we achieve the right infrastructure and inclusive development as we go forward. To give some examples of the projects we are working on, I am currently chairing a work stream on reinvigorating our town centres. We're working with Stevenage, East Arts and Welwyn Hatfield on community wealth building pilot, and other strands of work include combating climate change across the county, green infrastructure and growing our science and technology sector. Now, it's very important to note that agreeing to establish a formal committee this evening puts that work on a statutory basis and makes our work open and transparent and available to be seen by the public. But I'm sure if you've read the Cabinet papers, you will know that we have at the same time protected our own processes, our planning function, our housing function, economic development and planning and transport. And that's in 4.3 of the terms of reference of the committee. So it's not a takeover by other districts or by the county. It's a very good example of working together collaboratively to achieve the sort of future strategic development that benefits all our residents. Now, in moving the proposal, I'm also moving 2 minor amendments to clarify our right to have substitutes at all meetings of this committee. So, and that's if normally the nominated member for the main committee will be myself as leader, and of the scrutiny committee will be the chair of the scrutiny committee. If I'm not available, then the deputy leader will be take my place, and in his absence, then another executive member. So there is a small amendment, which I believe you have, Chair, when you read out the recommendations. And similarly for the scrutiny committee, if the chair of the committee is not available, then the deputy will be the representative, and if not, another member of the overview and scrutiny committee. So I hope that's clear. And with those small amendments, I move the recommendation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Martin. Can I have a seconder, please?
Mr. Chairman, I have pleasure in seconding that motion.
Thank you, Paul. I was wondering at this point, would it be prudent to read out the recommendations before we go into debate? Any? Martin?
Would you like me to read the recommendation, particularly recommendation 3 as amended?
Yes, please. And then people will know what they're debating. Yeah,
sure. It's all obviously on your papers, but recommendation 1 is to confirm the establishment of the Growth Board and Growth Board Scrutiny Joint Committees to hold their inaugural meetings in January, February 2021, and then HGB scrutiny aligned to confirmation of securing government funding in 2021. That's recommendation 1. Recommendation 2, to adopt the Growth Board integrated governance framework into the Council's own constitutional framework. And recommendation 3, as amended, to agree the Council's nominated representatives on the Growth Board as Councillor Martin Steers-Hanscom as leader of the Council, his Deputy Councillor Paul Clark as Deputy Leader of the Council, or in their absence another executive member, and Scrutiny Committee as Councillor David Levitt as Chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, and Deputy Councillor Kate Aspinwall as Vice Chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, or in their absence another member of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Thank you, Chair. Those are the recommendations.
Thank you, Martin.
Sorry, before you go into the debate, just to note that Councillor John Bishop is not on camera and hasn't been on camera for a little while. And Councillor Michael Weeks has turned his camera off. So obviously I don't want questions on ability to partake in the vote. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Councillor Bishop and Councillor
Bishop is now back on. Councillor Weeks has turned his camera off.
And Jeanette, they weren't present when we were talking. We were going through the amendments. Is that what you're saying?
They were off camera and or turned off. Yeah.
So they, under our present rules, then they won't be able to vote on this.
Yeah, members should remain on camera at all times unless there's an absolute reason why that they can't do so, unless it's reasonably practical, and unless they want to submit that there is a reasonable practical reason why they weren't on camera, then no.
Could I ask Councillor Bishop first? Then, was there a good reason why you weren't on camera?
Yeah, I cannot get Outlook or mod.gov to work on any of my devices. I'm watching this on my phone. So I've been wandering around, trying the tablet, trying the laptop.
So would you accept that you weren't present for all of the?
Oh, I heard everything, but you couldn't see me because I was wandering around with my phone. I'm happy not to vote if that's the appropriate behaviour.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Weeks?
I'll try and pressing every button I can.
Do you acknowledge that you weren't present, at least on camera, during some of that debate,
I'll have to miss this item and log off and log in again. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Weeks. Okay, so Councillor Bishop and Councillor Weeks will not be taking part in the vote. Thank you, Jeanette, for spotting. Right, now we're going to go into debate, and I've got one hand up already, and that's Councillor Harwood.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing really substantive about the item. I just wondered, in the way in which the recommendations and then the report was listed, is it normal to name actual councillors rather than positions? Because surely if this should proceed into the next administration, the leader of the council might be somebody different than Councillor Steers-Hanscom, and therefore for longevity reasons, and rather than having to bring it back in the next form of the council, surely we would just list the councillors' positions on the board rather than the actual names of the councillors who currently fulfil those positions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Can I respond on that quickly, Terry? I think Simon has a very good point, and I think it might be appropriate to amend the recommendations to leave out names and leave positions in. I think that's a sensible suggestion. Happy to accept that as an amendment.
I would agree with you as well. I think that's a very good suggestion. Hilary, can you make a note of that? Councillor Levitt.
Thank you, Chairman. I was going to make a comment on that as well, that we could possibly just look at putting the name titles in there, and that's fine by me. The other thing I'd just like to say is I've been involved with this process of the Growth Board coming to being for a number of years as from previous leader as well. Thoroughly welcome it. It's taken a long time to get where we are at the moment. It's a good start. And I think it shows the advantages of working as a much larger group than just an individual district council. And the more clout you can have, the better, the bigger the organisation, the more clout you can have, particularly when you're looking at bringing in out external funding. And it certainly helps. It certainly should help, and hope to see that working a bit more in the future. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, David. That's great. I have no other hands up at this point. Oh, yes, I have. Councillor Claire Strong.
Yes, just again on the names and titles of positions on the growth board. Should on the scrutiny side, should it be the chairman of the scrutiny committee and the leader of the opposition, or somebody else from the scrutiny committee?
I don't know.
That's just a thought I was pondering.
Martin, could I ask you to respond to that?
My reason for that is I would have thought that, again, if we're going for titles, that perhaps it might be beneficial if the leader of the opposition was also part of the scrutiny of part of the scrutiny of the growth board.
Unless the opposition leader is always the scrutiny manager.
Which is not a scrutiny chair, which is not likely to be the case, though, is it? It could be anybody.
I was just thinking it might be. Martin, can I ask you to respond?
I don't know if there's any other speakers, but I will be summing up in right of reply. So perhaps if I leave it to right of replying and respond to that, if there's any other speakers.
We have no other speakers.
Okay, in that case, Chair, if I deal as no, I would say not, because and obviously in consultation with other leaders, we are looking at the scrutiny function, which is cross-party, rather than the leader of the opposition. And so I would suggest that we do need to keep it as it so happens that it's the same individual at present, but it's more to do with those who are responsible for scrutiny in each council being those that get together collectively in the county as a whole to scrutinise the work of the growth board. So I would argue that it's not appropriate, and I would not support a change of that sort. So hopefully the amendments are clear, Chair. We've accepted that we just put the titles rather than the individual names and the other amendments. So I hope that it's going to go through unanimously, because I know it's got support of all three parties.
Thank you. And therefore, Hilary, can you take us to the vote, please?
Certainly, Chair, if you can vote in the normal ways, please. Green for yes, red for no, and blue hand for abstain, please. You all voted? That's carried, Chair.
Thank you. We now move on to item B, which is referral from the Licensing and Appeals Committee. 26th of October 2020, adoption of a statement of licensing policy required by virtue of the Section 5 of the Licensing Act 2003. Councillor Lisa Nash to present.
I'll mute myself. Thank you, Chair. This is a statutory policy that is reserved for full council. However, the Licensing and Appeals Committee, as the Specialist Licensing Committee, undertook a review of the public consultation and is recommending the policy to council. The policy seeks to strike a balance between the protection of the public and the promotion of a vibrant, diverse and safe daytime and nighttime economy. In general terms, the policy, as developed over several statutory reviews, has worked well, allowing consistent decision-making that has not been successfully challenged in court. Indeed, the number of appeals to court has been minimal. The amendments proposed in this review seek to build on that success and reflect the Council's current priorities and strategies, whilst clarifying some minor issues that have arisen over interpretation. So the main additions to the policy are the statutory guidance and council policy place a responsibility on the applicant to consider the impact of their application on the locality. Therefore, a local area profile has been included to assist applicants. Officers are now ready to introduce a pre-application advice service. Therefore, clarification of this service and its role in the process has been added. With the importance of safeguarding to all licensing issues, the existing child sexual exploitation section has been expanded with a new section addressing the responsibility of licence holders in all safeguarding matters. To support the Council's declaration of a climate emergency and climate strategy, environmental considerations have been included in the policy. The Licensing Act 2003 is very narrow in its remit and can only consider the impact on the licensing objectives. Therefore, the environment is not an automatic fit. This means that whilst the Council cannot mandate environmental considerations as a policy requirement, it can strongly encourage applicants to consider the environment, particularly in relation to outdoor events, for example. In some cases, there is a natural link to the prevention of public nuisance, for example, waste management, in which circumstances environmental measures have been included as policy requirements. The remainder of the proposed amendments are low impact, reflect operational changes or further clarify the existing policy based on recent case experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Can I have a seconder, please?
I'm happy to second that, Mr. Chairman, if there's nobody.
Thank you. Councillor Clark seconds. We're going to debate now. Is there anybody who wishes to speak? I've got no hands at this point raised. I still haven't, so I'm guessing there is nobody who wishes to speak. So the recommendations are that the statement of the licensing policy be adopted, and if I could ask Hilary to take us into the vote, please.
Thank you, Chair. If you can vote in the normal way, please, councillors. Thank you very much. And that's carried. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Hilary. We're moving on to item 7 on the agenda, was a resolution to extend the 6-month rule, Section 85 Local Government Act 1972. Can I call upon Martin Steers-Hanscom, Councillor Martin Steers-Hanscom, to present the proposed?
Yes, thank you, Chair. The pandemic has put the council in an unprecedented situation, and earlier in 2020, the council passed a similar resolution for another councillor. 7.1 in the report outlines the situation with regard to Councillor Tart, and having consulted all the other group leaders, we are proposing the same resolution for her. We certainly look forward to Kay returning to us as soon as she is well enough to. But if she isn't, the council meeting in January will be too late to pass such a resolution. So that's why we're moving it at this meeting. On reflection, I will only be moving recommendation 2.1. We will be withdrawing recommendation 2.2. Should any other councillor be in a similar situation, there would be time at the January council meeting to deal with a similar resolution. And on reflection, we don't feel that delegating this would be appropriate. So with that, Chair, I'm moving recommendation 2.1, and I believe Councillor Clark is going to second.
Thank you. Councillor Clark?
I confirm I'm happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Before we move into debate, I'll just read out the recommendation. The only recommendation left at the moment is for 2.1. The council approves the extension of a 6-month rule for Councillor Kay Tart on ill health grounds for the additional 6-month period until the 9th of July 2021. And I have Councillor Fake who wishes to speak.
Thank you, Chairman. Given the circumstances, I would really hope that we would pass this without further debate, and I suggest that we move to the vote.
Thank you, Councillor. There are no other people raising their hands, so we are going to the vote. Hilary, can you take us to the vote, please?
Yes, Chair. Please vote in your normal manner. Thank you. And that's carried, Chair.
All right. I'm having trouble doing mine, sorry. Right. There you go. I just wanted to get
Thank
mine. Carried. That's great news. And we hope that Councillor Tart is back with us as soon as possible. Forgive me for a second. Moving on to item 8. The title of the report is Use of Urgency in relation to call-in for decisions on business rating pooling. Can I ask the Service Director of Resources to address this?
Thank you, Chair. This relates to, as is in the title, the decision in relation to business rate pooling. As is often the case, the invitation to pool with other districts comes, and the County Council comes through very late from the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, and coordinating the number of districts required and the County Council in the time frame meant that it was only possible to, even though there was a decision to be made about 2 days before the deadline. By the time we got to that point, we did take a decision through the Cabinet, but that was necessary to both put that on a late point, for which I sought permission from the Chair of Overview and Scrutiny, but also to not have call-in, for which I sought permission from the Chair of the Council, as in line with the Constitution. But in line with the Constitution, it is to be reported to you as full council for you to note that that power was used, and that is the purpose of this report before you.
Okay, can we go into debate? I have Councillor Ian Albert who wishes to speak.
Thanks, Chair. I'd just like to formally move this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder, please?
You have Councillor North.
Councillor North? Okay, thank you, Councillor North. Oh, you wish to speak, Councillor North, or you're seconding? Oh, we can't hear you. Yes, you weren't muted, Councillor North. I'm not sure why we can't hear you. We better move on for, until. Okay,
Chair, in absence of one sound being able to speak, another sound will speak and say what he said, and second and reserve the right to speak.
Right. So you're second. Right. Okay. Okay. If we can move into debate. I have no hands raised actually, so I've got a feeling debate is very short. In that case, if I read the recommendation. The recommendation is the Council notes that the urgency provisions in relation to the business rate pooling decision made by Cabinet on 22nd of October 2020. Hilary, can you take us to the vote?
Yes, Chair, if you can vote in the normal way, please, councillors. Thank you. And that's carried, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hilary. I believe that concludes our business this evening. Can I just confirm that? Because I've had a bit of a printer.
No, Chair, no. You still have business to conduct, Chair.
Item 9, Chair, questions from members.
Sorry, I've got it now. Yes, thank you. Right. Questions from members. To consider questions submitted by members in the Council in accordance with the Standing Order 4.8.11. Can I call upon Councillor Morgan Derbyshire to give us the question.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Following the correspondence between members of the administration in the local press, would the Leader of the Council please advise the Council as to what exactly is the Coalition's policy regarding the local plan?
Thank you, Councillor Derbyshire. Can I ask Martin Steers-Hanscom to address that?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Morgan, for your question. And I trust you're feeling better because I understand you've had a brush with COVID very recently, so it's good to see you this evening.
Yes.
So let me answer your question. Our two groups do not describe our working relationship as a coalition. We have not coalesced. We remain two separate party groups on the Council. What we do have is a joint administration with an agreed programme, which is outlined in the Council plan, which I must say has a measure of agreement by all parties on this Council, as evidenced by the all-member workshop, which supported its development. With regard to the local plan, this was of course put together and submitted for inspection under the previous administration. Successive governments have weakened the planning system and we live with the consequences. The latest white paper potentially damages it even further, and we are strongly advised that we need an adopted local plan as at least some form of protection. Our two groups have a common objective, which is to achieve the adoption of the local plan. It includes policies which, among other things, will ensure better environmental standards are applied to all our housing and that a higher percentage of affordable housing can be achieved. To refer to my letter to the Comet, both our groups have a common desire to ensure that only the new building that is necessary to meet housing needs is built in North Herts. At the same time, we also intend to keep our promise in our Joint Administrations Council plan to enable good quality and affordable housing. And I do note that unfortunately the Comet editor changed the reference to Council plan in my letter at this point to local plan, but the import is the same. Adopting the local plan has been a long drawn out process, which many councillors on the Council now have had no influence, as the plan was submitted for examination more than 3 years ago. The motion discussed at the last council meeting was moved and seconded by 2 of those councillors who put forward one way to achieve our joint objective. That approach was tested at the recent council meeting, and the majority of councillors did not support that approach. Following that decision, my colleague Councillor Paul Clark, Executive Member of Planning and Transport, taking advice from the All-Party Local Plan Project Board, is continuing to respond to the questions from the inspector to ensure that a plan can be adopted at the earliest opportunity. The council has already made a commitment to an all-plan review at a very early date following the plan's adoption. This is consistent with Councillor Clark's response to the comment following the extraordinary council meeting. I trust that clarifies the Administrators United approach.
Thank you, Martin. Morgan, do you have a supplementary question?
I do indeed have a supplementary question, and thank you, Councillor Steers-Hanscom. I'm feeling much better now. Greenbelt development is a controversial part of this plan. What is your view, and is it aligned with the portfolio holder?
Martin?
Yes, I've been a long-standing advocate of the Greenbelt, and of course the whole issue of planning and Greenbelts, etc. Letchworth had a great part in that, and also the post-war Labour government, which I'm very proud. And of course, we need to remember that the Greenbelt policy is not something which is absolutely sacrosanct in terms of the Greenbelt area. It is a policy to ensure that our any development that progresses avoids coalescence of settlements, and it ensures that the best possible development is carried out within those areas where we have Greenbelt. And of course, we rely on the Metropolitan Greenbelt. And that, I know, is something dear to Councillor Clark's heart, as well as our executive member, and to Ian Mantle as deputy. It's something we are working towards in ensuring that going forward, and we've already earlier this evening agreed to work with the Growth Board to ensure that going forward we have a much more joined up approach to working in and developing going forward. So I know all of us in this council have the same view that our Greenbelt is very important, and maintaining that policy is very important. So yes, I would argue that we have a united view on how we develop and continue that Greenbelt policy going forward.
Chair, on a point of order.
Sam, was that?
On a point of order, in a previous council meeting, the deputy executive member was given the opportunity to respond to questions posed to that executive member. I'm just wondering whether you would give the authority for that deputy to respond if they wish.
Martin? Chair, I'm afraid our standing orders are very strict on this. The reply I gave earlier to Councillor Derbyshire's question, Councillor Clark had a sight of it, and we discussed ensuring that it was one that he was comfortable with, the same as myself. But our standing order is very clear. We can only have a question, much as when we were in opposition, we would have loved to have made a change to this standing order. I think we must be consistent, Chair.
Okay, I uphold Martin's decision, Martin's declaration. Unfortunately, yes. Okay, well, in that case, questions from members is finished. Now, item 10 on our agenda is notice of motions, which there are none. So correctly now, I think I'm going to say we have concluded our business for this evening, and I thank everybody for attending and sparing their time for us. I wish you a great evening, and I close the meeting at 2016.